News. White House just announced this morning that younger kids will be getting the COVID vaccine eventually. Still has to be approved through the CDC and the FDA, but they say they've secured enough doses for the Pfizer shot to vaccinate every kid in the U.S. between the ages of 5 and 11. Some of that is going to be happening in school. So joining me right now to discuss this very big news for families, here is Washington State Superintendent Chris Reykdal. Chris, good morning. How are you?
Great. Good morning.
Good morning. Let's talk about this big news. Just want to get your reaction to this news today.
Well, it's great news. We've been anticipating it for a while. It's nice to see it coming together here in our state. 5 to 11-year-olds are going to get this option soon. Between probably 5 and 600,000 students will be eligible very soon.
They mentioned that a lot of the schools are going to be participating in this, perhaps having vaccine clinics. What can you tell us about how this is going to work in schools? What is this process going to look like for parents and kids?
Department of Health in our state really organizes that, and they're working a lot of hours right now to figure it out. The adult clinics were pretty straightforward. Folks could drive through those, they could get vaccinated. It's logistically a lot tougher with littles because you've got a parent that's got to coordinate a schedule with them. So some schools will host clinics. They're working that out right now, deciding if that's something their community will really support in volume. But a whole lot more of this for 5 to 11-year-olds is going to come through pediatricians and doctors' offices. There's already a vaccine expectation there. There's a relationship that they've built. They get that good counsel from a medical provider. So we expect a whole lot more of the vaccine for 5 to 11-year-olds to go through pediatricians than we did, say, for our 12 to 18-year-olds. They participated in mass vaccination clinics like a lot of people did.
What about parents, Chris, who want to opt out or perhaps want to have that testing choice still available and not get the vaccine? Is that going to be available still?
It really is. For this next year, at least, we don't anticipate a vaccine mandate for school-age children. There's a long process that it goes through. There's a state board of health that has a big role in that. That process is underway. They're looking at the evidence. But remember, this is not even authorized yet, and it's going to be authorized under emergency use. And so until it gets full authorization, I wouldn't expect it to be a mandate. So for the very foreseeable future, this is really about families saying, I want to keep my kids safe, my family safe, my community. We think there'll be a huge uptake at first, and just like the vaccine for adults, it kind of waned for a while after that and slowed down. So we hope it's a good response. Nothing mandatory about this, no requirement. But again, I would encourage folks to do it just based on the science and the great effectiveness that we've seen so far.
Chris, we're watching some videos, some kids wearing some masks, and that leads to my next question. If this does become approved for kids 5 through 11, it's already been approved for the older kids. Do you anticipate masks still being a need in schools, at least for this school year? Are there plans to maybe ditch the mask, maybe as more kids get vaccinated this year?
Department of Health is looking at that on a regular basis. Of course, they're looking at the science around the world around this as well. We saw vaccine take up at a high rate for, say, age 80 and over, and it kind of decreased as you went through the age brackets. And our 12 to 18-year-olds who are already eligible, they're still only at about 60% vaccination rate. And we expect a little lower than that for 5 to 11. There'll be some hesitancy, particularly in some communities. I would not expect masks to go away anytime soon. There will still be tens, if not hundreds of thousands of students that aren't vaccinated. And I know public health officials will err on the side of safety around that. So this school year, I would anticipate face coverings. They are revisiting it, though. We're going to encourage them to revisit it, especially as we see places with very high vaccination rates. I think they can start to imagine how face covering could be something we could slowly let go of. That's going to be up to public health officials. I wouldn't expect it soon. We are going to keep asking, though, when can we anticipate that contemplation?
Yeah, and Chris, what is your sense of the timeline here? I mean, I know that we've been talking about how the FDA and the CDC has to approve the vaccine for these younger kids, but do you have a sense of the timeline on when this could be rolled out? Do you have a game plan on messaging for parents and perhaps having some clinics in some of the schools?
Yeah, that's being worked out right now between school providers, clinical providers in the area, mass clinics, and of course, pediatricians. Our state Department of Health does an amazing job. As we speak, they're trying to build that plan. They're going to get shipments of this in the next couple of weeks. They'll have it deployed. So we're ready for it. It's really a function of where they put the resource, the vaccine itself, based on the response. What communities are really seeking this? Where can they do this effectively? And of course, the pharmacy partners will be a part of this as well. Your local pharmacies are going to get vaccine access for 5 to 11-year-olds. It's in a smaller dosage. It comes in a very visible vial that's going to be different than adult vaccine. So there's a lot of logistics We expect it to happen soon. We expect people to get access to it quickly. And at this point, I would say to families, just pay attention to where your local provider that you feel most comfortable with is and when they'll have access to it, and then make a decision that's best for your family.
If it does get approved, Chris, and I know that I have a lot of parent friends who are asking the same question right now, but if they don't decide to get the vaccine, the kids ages 5 through 11, is that going to stop them from perhaps doing other activities, other extracurricular activities, if there are any, or will it have another option, like we mentioned, testing or perhaps social distancing and masks? Is that going to be an option too?
Yeah, we wouldn't anticipate any existing activities that are accessible to young people to be any different, whether they vaccinate or not. What I would say is a real important incentive here is there's already reason when you vaccinate where you won't have to be quarantined and you won't have to be isolated from in-person learning. The vaccine makes a difference in that decision. So we have a lot of 12 to 18-year-olds who are vaccinated who don't find themselves having to quarantine and leave school for 10 to 14 days. So you get an enhancement from the vaccine, not just for your physical health, of course, but for your learning opportunity. I would not expect any of the existing activities available to young people to be a condition of vaccine at this point in time.
All right. State Superintendent Chris Reykdal, we always appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us this morning.